In this video, I would like to explain our material, which is chapter 3, and the title is Data Manipulation Language, or DML, which consists of 3 common query, which is insert, update, and delete. So before we start the practicum, please use the classic models database that you can get in the following link, http://classic models. As for the basic theory, actually, data manipulation language is a language by which user access and manipulate the data. So it is the language that specifically is for manipulation, or for to do a manipulation toward your data. It can be refers as a retrieval, data retrieval, insertion, deletion, as well as modification of the data itself. So there are several common command or common query in the SQL that use to manipulate the data. It is insert. There are insert, update, as well as delete. So the first one is select. Select is the most widely used DML command, and it retrieves information or record from the database. To use the select command, just use like this example: select star, which means select all, from employee, from the table, namely employee, where the salary is greater than 2,000. So when we are going to select all records of the table, namely employee, that have salary greater than 2,000, then we use this query: select star from employee where salary greater than 2,000. Next is the update command. This update command is used for modification purposes. It can be modified single data or multiple data with specific condition, according to the specific condition. For example, update here, update employee. So update the table employee, set the column that name that has a title salary. So set the salary column as equal to salary plus 5,000, where the employee ID is 101. That means we are going to update the salary of an employee that has an ID 101 who has been promoted, and by increasing his salary by adding 5,000. Okay, and next is the insert command. This command is used for add more record in the database. For example, insert into employee, into table employee, for the column ID, name, as well as salary, and the value is 102, and the name is Mayang for the name. This one is for ID, sorry. So the values is 102 for ID, and then the Mayang for the name, and 10,000 for the salary. And next is delete. This command is used for remove one or more record from a database according to the specific condition. For example, delete from the employee. Delete from the employee where the employee ID is 100. So we just delete all employee that has employee ID 100 from the table employee. Now let's start with the select command. So select, it can be like this one, the statement select. This is if we are going to select not all the whole table, but only several columns from the table. So we just write the column name, select last name, first name, and job title from employees, for example. But if you want to select all, then just use select all, like this one, select all, or select star. This is the result. Okay, let's try. Now let's start with go to our database. So I will check my database first. Databases. I have classic model, so I will use the classic model. Oh, sorry. Yep. Okay, and then I will try to check the tables. And then I will trying to explore or describe the employees tables. Table. Okay, so I will just write describe employees. So here we go. In the employees table, we have employee number, last name, first name, and job title, and etc. If we want to select all the data from the table's employee, so we just use select star or select all. Select star from select all from employees. This is all the data. We have like 23 rows here. Okay, now we are going to select only specific column from the table employees. So I will just select first name and last name and job title from employee. Yes. Nah, this one. So if you don't want to select all, just select specific column, then just write the specific column. For example, select the first name, comma, last name, comma, and the job title from table employees. So we get the data from the table employees. Next, I'm going to tell you about the distinct clause. So the distinct clause is used when you are going to remove the duplicates between rows. In specific, you only select the unique rows. So use the distinct clause in the select statement. The syntax of the distinct clause is as follows. Select distinct and then the list from the table. The list, the selected list can be a column that already ordered and etc. So select distinct the name of the column or the list and then from the table name. Okay, let's take a look at our example here. Distinct from the employee number. From the employees table. So we use the select last name from employees. We order by last name. The result will be like this one. This is all the last name. And then if you use distinct, then the result will be quite different because it will result only the unique value only. Okay, so let's practice. Okay, now let's select the last name from employees. Select last name from employees. This is the last name. We have 23 rows here. And then we are going to select with distinct. Select distinct last name from employees. So here we go. We get only 90 last name. If we check our result, the last name that select last name from employees, we have Patterson. It happened twice. It showed twice. Patterson, 3 times. And then we have Firelli here, and etc. However, if we use the testing and we get only the unique value, so we remove the redundancy, we remove the duplicates. That's how we use the distinct clauses. Now we go to the insert statement. Insert statement is used to insert one or more rows into a table. So the statement is like this one. Insert into table the column name, column 1, column 2, and etc. And then the values for the v1 is for the column 1, v2 is for the column 2, and etc. So let's just create a new table. I will create a table, namely student table. Create table. The name of the table is student. Okay, students. And then I will have several data here. For example, like the ID, that is an integer. 5 is a primary key. I will set the ID as primary key, as well as it will be auto increment. Okay, and then I will have name for the name of the students, and the data type is varchar 100. And then intake for the intake year. Okay. Oh, sorry. Intake maybe just integer. It's okay. Integer is okay. And then I will have major, which is varchar, and I will give it the default value as computer science. Okay. Now I'm going to insert data to our tables, namely the students table. So I'm going with insert into the table's name is students. In what column? I'm going to fill the column, namely ID. I'm sorry, I don't want to fill out the ID because the ID is already auto increment, so we don't need to fill the auto increment. So just name, and then intake, and then major, and the values. As for the values, I will fill in. As for the name is Isna, and then as for the intake, intake is integer, so intake is 2020, and then 2020, and then for the major, I'm going to write it engineering. Okay, so here we go. And we try to select all from students. Nah, you can see that the ID is auto-generated by the SQL as number 1 because we use the auto increment. Because we use the auto increment, it will be automatically filled by the SQL. Also, as for your as something that you have to remember is when you are going to create the auto increment, it must be a primary key. So set it as primary key. So like this one, it can be auto increment if it is the key ID, for example, 1, and auto increment, and etc. This is the data that we filled to the tables. Now I'm going to fill another uh, another data to our table. So like let's go with insert into students, and then for the name and for the intake and the measure, the values. Now it's a bit different with the previous example, because in this example I'm going to leave the measure as default, so it will be automatically filled by the default value, which we already described before. Default is computer science, so if I write default here, it will be automatically set as the default value. Okay, so let's check the result. Here we go. I get the alpha here. The ID is auto generate and it is auto increment. So after 1 it became 2, and then the name is alpha. Intake is like this one, like I type, and then the measure, because it is filled with the default value, so the measure become computer science. That's how we insert into our table. We can also insert more than one values at the same statement, or at the same or just single query. So for example, like in this one, in this example, we only insert a values, a record, or just a row, but we can insert multiple rows of data into our table. The query is similar. Insert into students, name, intake, and then major, and then values. We can type Citra, for example. Citra. And then separate each data, or separate its record or rows of the data with comma. So like this one, values, this is for the first record, and for the next record we can add and then the major, maybe default, and etc. Okay, so let's just keep it simple first. Okay, let's select all from students. Nah, we can also type in more data with the single query like this one. Actually, I have a trick that maybe will make it easier than write the comment or the syntax or the query direct to the write it in the console. Instead of write it in the console, I prefer to write it in the notepad. So I will use notepad and then write the data like this one, and then just copy it. Okay, maybe I will just type the full query. So insert into students for the column name, and then intake, and then major, right? Values is as follows: Budi, Banu, Tari, and etc. So I will just copy it and paste it here. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, just copy it. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to copy this one. I only want to copy this data. So here we go. Insert into students, name, intake, major, values, Budi, and etc. and etc. So let's go. Nah, this is the way easier, so we can also maintain the error that happen that arise later, because we can just rewrite or just manipulate the text in the notepad instead of in the console. So let's select all data from students. So here we go, we get a lot of data.